Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you about the latest from Ektomorf, Reborn, out January 22nd on Napalm Records. This album has 8 tracks, 39 minutes in length, and this is the band's 15th album. They're from Hungary, and they play a blend of groove, thrash, and nu metal. And you're going to see all 3 elements present on this record. Now, the structure of this album is a little bit chunky. It has a little bit of a stop-and-go feel. It's really not linear. It doesn't feel fluid at all. It's not an album that keeps you connected song after song after song. You feel like there's too many pauses in terms of how the songs are put together, how they feel, and what the outcome of those tracks are. This is not to say that the quality of the songs is not there, because it is. This is an album that offers 8 quality tracks. All of the songs are strong within themselves. It's the order in which they're put together on this track listing that hurts the overall playability, and most so the fluidity that the album has to offer. Now, as far as the soundscape is concerned, like I said already, this is an album that mixes thrash, groove, and nu metal, and you're going to see all 3 present throughout this record. In some songs, you're going to see a combination of all 3, and then in some tracks, you're going to get more of one or more of the other. This allows the record to be diverse in sound, to really pull you in different directions, to really give you different outcomes with every single song, and allows the album to stay fresh and stay relevant. I like this approach. I like how they did it because they kept some of the elements exactly the same across all 8 songs. So the overall big picture, when you look at each individual track, may seem like it's pulling you more into one direction or more into the other. But when you look under the hood, there are some similarities that are present on every single track that allows the album to still feel cohesive, to still feel as one, and not necessarily just a collection of 8 songs. It's important to have this duality of approaches because you want songs to have something new to offer at every single turn so that the album is not repetitive. But at the same time, you want to have some of the same elements present there so that you feel there's some sort of continuity. And this is an album that from a structural perspective does not offer a lot of continuity, so it's important that at least from a soundscape perspective that continuity is there. Now, the guitars on this record are really phenomenal. They're heavy, they're driven, they're groovy, they're powerful, melodic at times, really pulling a little bit of everything that this album has to offer and then magnetizing it and exploring it and exploding it into the tracks. I love the guitar sound. I love how thick it is, how it comes across, and then when it pairs up with the drums, really providing a 1-2 punch that moves this record forward. Perhaps you could say that the guitars are behind the driver's seat of the album, that the guitars are the ones dictating where this record goes, but you cannot overlook the drums and how important they are in order to create the path in which the guitars travel upon. Without one, you don't have the definition of sound that comes from the other. But overall, I love the guitar sound on this record. The solos come in at the right spots, and I didn't feel like the solos on this record were there just for the sake of having a solo on the track. I really felt that they were there because they had something to offer to the song. Either expand the track, either giving it more melody, more power, more substance, but they were always there for a reason. And if you're listening to the song, you almost can feel where that solo is coming because it really calls for it. And then when it's there, you understand the presence of the solo and what it's doing to the track, really giving it life, really giving it power. The vocals on this album are perhaps the most consistent element throughout the whole record. What you get with the first song is exactly what you're going to get throughout the entire album. And once again, for a record that has a broken structure and that has a lot of variety as far as soundscape is concerned, you need to start to pick up some elements that stay consistent, that allow the album to have some sort of continuity. The vocals is one of those elements, really the glue that holds this whole album together. And I felt that the vocals also added a lot of intensity to the overall experience that this album has to offer. From a musical perspective, the album is heavy and it's aggressive, groovy at times and melodic, but mostly heavy and aggressive. So I felt that the vocals added a lot of intensity to that aggression, it added a lot of intensity to that heaviness, and really allowed this album to explode, to be more dynamic, to have a lot more strength and a lot more power overall. When I look at the big picture of this album, the overall track listing really hurts the record. This is an album that has a 1980s thrash metal design to it and how it's put together. They have the right songs, they just have them perhaps in the wrong place. And this is an album that needed at least 2 more tracks in order to really feel complete. You have a 7+ minute instrumental track in Forsaken that is nearly the end of the album. So for this song to work, it really had to be a little bit more in the middle of the record and have at least 2 to 3 more tracks afterwards, so that you feel like the album has a dip with an instrumental track, and then it comes back up that dip with a lot of aggression, a lot of intensity. So this is an album that it's short of 2 tracks, in my opinion, to really feel complete, to really feel like you're getting the most out of it, and it needs a much better track listing in order to spread the power, the strength, the aggression, the intensity across the whole album, so that it has more of a linear feel, more of a continuous look, and not as much of a stop and go motion as it has right now. Now, as far as songs are concerned, I want to start off with Ebullition. This is the opening track on the album. It has a lot of heaviness, a lot of power, a lot of aggression. Great opening track because it really lets you get a sense of what this album is going to be all about. You want to start off the gate with a song that doesn't hold anything back. This is not a track that has a long intro. It just really gets you going immediately. The moment it starts, you feel like you're in it already. Like you feel the power coming at you from every single angle. It doesn't beat around the bush, and that's exactly the best way for this album to get started. There's tracks later down the road that have more prolonged intros, and it works well in the context of the record. But to start off this album, you need to start off to the races immediately, pedal to the metal, and that's exactly what this track has to offer. Driven by the guitars and drums, the two really work in parallel in order to give a lot of strength to this song, allowing the volume to be bigger. It allows the song to have more volume, more presence, and therefore becoming heavier. The vocals feel like they accelerate the drive or the push that this track has. This is one of those songs that the vocals really feel like they're behind the driver's seat, pushing the direction that the track has to offer. Very dynamic musically, a song that is really the perfect opener for this album. Next is Fear Me. Heavy, groovy, but not blistering. This is a much different style track. It's more methodic. It has a more methodic approach. The vocals add intensity to how this track comes across. The chorus is very hooky, very catchy, and then makes the song memorable. That chorus really wins you over as far as this track is concerned. The song stays very consistent musically from the verses into the chorus. It's not very dynamic. It doesn't change too much. It stays very consistent, and the vocals are really the ones dictating a little bit of how you feel towards the song, with that chorus being very hooky and very catchy, changing a little bit of the dynamic of the track and allowing to feel like you had some ups and downs while still moving in a very linear path. I love how this song is put together. I love how it feels. I love the more methodic, heavier approach. What it loses in speed, it definitely gains in heaviness. Last but not least, Smashing the Past. This is the last song on the album, and it's a very aggressive song. This is an absolute banger. The way the album starts off with a very aggressive track, very heavy track, is exactly the way the album finishes off, with a track that has a lot of similarities to the opening track. The two are almost mirrors of each other. So you start off on a high note and you finish on an even higher note with a song that's just absolutely blistering, heavy, aggressive, intensive, coming at you very fast, very heavy. Like I said, a banger and the perfect track to close off this record. This is it. This is Ektomorf with Reborn, out January 22nd on Napalm Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.